Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Big Blonde and Beautiful, the podcast. I'm your host, Kara, and we are now on our second episode. Um, Before we get into today's topics, I really wanted to congratulate both Bonnie Milligan and Alex Newell for their Tony wins. As a theater-obsessed fat girly, I just had to say it. Even though I know this episode's coming out a couple weeks after the Tonys have happened, I really love them both, and I loved seeing someone who looks like me or has a similar body type winning a Tony, because that would be the dream. Love it. Anyway, back to the point of this episode. So for this episode, we're going to be focusing on the movie Dumplin from 2018. Um, I'm going to give a little brief synopsis of the film. You can pause right now if you've never seen it or if you want to do a rewatch. It's on Netflix, so go have at it or find, wherever you can get it, if you know what I mean. But here we go. All right, so the synopsis. Dumplin focuses on the Dolly Parton obsessed teenager Willow Dean, played by Danielle MacDonald, who lives in the tiny shadow of her former pageant queen mother Rosie, played by Jennifer Aniston, whose nickname for the girl is Dumplin. After discovering a pageant form filled out by her late Aunt Lucy and tiring of being overlooked by her mom, Willow Dean and her best friend Ellen decide to enter a pageant as a form of protest. However, when Willow Dean's decision to enter the pageant inspires another plus-size girl, Millie, to also enter, because being in a pageant has always been a dream for her, Willow Dean is dismayed. She never meant to be an inspiration. However, along with rebel Hannah, who joins as a form of protest because she doesn't like the way pageants objectify women, the girls form a close friendship as they learn that there's more to being a beauty queen than they could have ever dreamed. Starting off, I love this movie so much. This was really the first time I saw myself on screen. I know that she said that she didn't want to be seen as the Joan of Arc of fat girls, but unfortunately, because there's so little accurate and positive representation, I feel like anyone that has a bigger body type, like I mentioned, Alex Newell or Bonnie Milligan, even if they aren't there to be like, hey, I'm here to pave the way for people who look like me, they kind of are doing that. And that is unfortunate because not everyone wants to be that role model or body positive inspiration, which I totally get. But anyway, I love this movie. This is the first time I really saw myself on screen, which, considering this movie came out in 2018, I was 18 years old before I really saw someone that looked like me that I could relate to. Not only that, but I was obsessed with pageants. I was watching Toddlers and Tiaras. I was doing the whole like kiss your fingers and do the heart thing. All of it. Even though that show was literally insane. I was a child watching it, so a bit of a pass. But I was obsessed. I was like, I want to do that. I want the glitz, the glam, the fake hair, just all of it. I want to be in a pageant. And I told my mom this, and I think I was in junior high when I expressed that I wanted to do a pageant, a local one. And she told me that I needed to lose 50 pounds to be in the pageant. Now, in her brain, it was, hey, my daughter really wants to do this. Let me tell her, if you lose X pounds, then you can do it because that'll motivate her to lose weight. Well, I'm still fat, so obviously that didn't work, and I've never been in a pageant. But to my little junior high brain, it felt more like, oh, only skinny girls can be in pageants. Only skinny girls will win pageants. So in order to be in one and compete in one, you need to lose weight, which is not at all true. I know some bigger girlies who have competed and won pageants. So if anyone is out there wanting to do a pageant and you're fat like me or mid-size, freaking go for it. Who cares how much you weigh? It's the confidence. That's what you need. Even though I believe that you can be a beauty queen at any size, that is what this movie teaches us. It seems that Willow Dean's mom, Rosie, feels the same way as most of the world. She kind of tries to deter her daughter from signing up, and the only reason why she lets her sign up is because it's in front of this big group of people, and Willow Dean's like, if you don't let me sign up, then you are saying to the rest of the world that girls that look like me don't belong in pageants. And her mom's like, well, I can't do that. All these people are looking at me. So she lets her join the pageant. And the whole reason why Willow Dean decided to join the pageant is because of her aunt that passed away. She found this like pageant form that had been filled out but never submitted. And so she realized, even though my aunt taught me body positivity and to try and love what I look like and who I am, she struggled with that herself. And I mean, I feel like we all do as fat people. The world is literally telling us that we don't deserve to be loved, that fat means ugly, fat means undesirable. It's just a big mess, and it really, really sucks. So she decides to enter the pageant. And as I said, her mom is very much wants Willow Dean to lose weight. She even shares a story about how she used to be bigger, which we all know Jennifer Aniston was never bigger, but her character was. And she lost the weight and Lucy didn't. And maybe if she had lost the weight, Lucy would still be here. That is a horrible thing to say to your daughter that is also fat. Literally, you're telling her, like, oh, if you don't lose weight, you're gonna die like your aunt. Hello? How about no? How about we're not doing that? No, thank you. It's just very harmful, and she's always on Willow Dean about eating that greasy food from that job that you have, and she doesn't even like the food. And I don't know if this was intentional, but we don't really see Willow Dean eat very much, and what she does eat is like just regular, like nothing crazy fattening, but even if it was, who cares? Anyway, Willow Dean is very courageous to deal with the societal pressure and the pressure from her mom and still feel like she can join this pageant. And I know originally it starts out that she's kind of going to derail the pageant, but even then, I think that takes some guts. And although it does take our main character some time to get to a place of accepting and loving how she looks, it's still very realistic, very relatable. I'm still going through that journey myself. And I think that that just makes her character more real. Anyway, let's get more into Willow Dean as a character. As I said earlier, I relate to her a lot. I feel like I grew with her as I watched this film for the first time. I cannot say enough that positive and accurate representation of fat people on screen matters. Reverse. Positive and accurate representation of any type of minority group, whether it's body size, skin color, gender, sexuality, is so important. People don't realize how much we yearn to see ourselves on screen. It's crazy, but it's very validating. Much like Willow Dean, I have been in a situation where I thought, why does this person like me? Why do they think I'm attractive? Like, there's no way. There's no way that they think I'm attractive. And she sort of has that relationship with Beau. I absolutely adore Willow Dean and Beau's relationship. It's so obvious to everyone, including her best friend Ellen, that he is head over heels for her. He is smitten. But she's constantly downplaying her feelings or making excuses as to why he buys her presents or flirts with her. And also, side note, Luke Benward, who plays Beau, I have had a crush on that man since I saw him in Minutemen on Disney Channel and then again in Good Luck Charlie on Disney Channel. So being able to not only see someone that looks like me, but have an actor playing a role that is interested in someone that looks like me, that I even had a crush on as a kid, was like the most amazing thing ever. I was like, that's right. I haven't had that since Zac Efron in Hairspray, but I was like, heck yeah. Hello, sir. I see you. So ever since so it was definitely a little cherry on top seeing him play that role and be just totally in love with Willow Dean, and it was everything. I also love how after they go on their little date and he tries to kiss her and she runs off when they are at work the next day and she's like freaking out in the back, he goes to her and tells her, I like you. And she asks why. And then he tells her that he doesn't understand her insecurities. He literally says, word for word, Willadine Dixon, I think you're beautiful, and to hell with anyone else who's ever made you feel less than that. That is so beautiful. Literally, the first time I watched it, I cried during that part. Because, yeah, to hell with anyone who's ever made any of us feel like we are not beautiful. Because we are. And I feel like we don't hear that enough. So, you're beautiful, and I am beautiful. Just thought I'd put that out there for all of you. He even says he doesn't want to date anyone else but her. He's not interested in Becca, the skinny blonde who looks right with him or is the right picture. He wants Willow Dean. He likes her. He thinks she's beautiful, and she just doesn't see that. And I'm happy that as the film goes on, she starts to be more confident in herself and realize that she is beautiful. And he should want her because she's amazing. I also relate to Dumplin. I also relate to Willadine because we have very similar hair. And just like her, I was told throughout most of my childhood that my hair needed to be tamed. I needed to do something with it, like style it or straighten it every day. And I just want to say, before we get too into this, I know that people of color, and specifically women of color, have had to deal with this for forever. And I can't imagine the amount of hate that they get for it, for their hair. It's one of those, you can never do something right. There's always like a double-edged sword. So I just wanted to put that out there before I start talking about my hair as a white woman. So now I've learned to love my hair. And I'm still working on learning how to take care of it. Obviously, if you're watching the video, it's kind of today. But I haven't used a straightener in the last 4 years. I'm really learning to just be more confident in my natural self. And that can be very intimidating. But, little segue here. You know who isn't intimidated? Millie. Ugh, I kind of love her. I can relate to her because of her size, but she is definitely way more perky than me. I am not an optimistic or perky person, and she is just rainbows and sunshine and smiles all the time. There's a part in the very first scene. There's a part in the very first scene in the movie where like some boys are poking fun at Millie. She gets splashed on after one of them does a cannonball. And then Willowdean looks to her friend Ellen and says, "I'm fat, but at least I'm not clueless." And I really hated that. I was like, first of all, as women, we shouldn't be tearing each other down. And second of all, especially as fat women, we should not be tearing each other down. Many people do that enough. We don't need to be doing it to each other. So I really didn't like that part of Willowdean. I'm glad that she grew a lot and learned how amazing Millie is, because she truly is. She's talented. She's beautiful. She's so kind. I love her. I do think that her and Willowdean balance each other out very nicely. I also love how supportive Ellen and Hannah are throughout this film, even though they are sort of the ideal body type. I know that Hannah is more mask and like gothic, so that, especially probably in the South, is a little out of place. But Ellen is definitely like the standard of beauty, I would say. But even though she is very supportive of her friend and is constantly telling her, you know, that she's beautiful. And that's very validating as well. I too have amazing friends that I'm very lucky that they are very supportive of me doing things like this, um, showing off my body and my outfits in the content I create. Uh, I'm very lucky to have them. They're amazing, and Ellen is just like them. And everyone needs a friend like that. And I do think that it was also very beneficial that Willowdean found Millie, because even though she has a supportive friend like Ellen, sometimes it's nice to have someone that looks like you that you can just talk to and relate to about these types of issues that you're having with like your confidence, or thinking a boy doesn't like you because of your size. I think that's very important. Now, I would like to move on to some of my favorite parts of this movie. I don't really have any least favorite parts except for that uh, opening scene where Willowdean kind of does her little, "at least I'm not clueless" thing. That's probably my least favorite part, but my favorite part, well, one of them, the drag queens. Okay. Now, if you didn't guess it or you aren't following us on Instagram, this podcast is 1,000% pro drag queens. Okay? Okay. And if you're not, bye bye. Go find a different podcast because this is not the one for you. Anyway, one of my favorite drag queens is in this film, Ginger Minge, and I just love her. She's just so funny and just everything. And what is more classic than a drag queen lip syncing to Dolly Parton? I feel like that is like the go-to for drag queens is Dolly, just because she's You know, she said if I wasn't born a girl, I'd be a drag queen. So there you go. Honestly, Dolly Parton kind of is a drag queen. And I don't think that she would be offended by me saying that. Because, girl, you never see her without a wig and some type of form fitting sequin something. And I love it. She's amazing. And her music's amazing. Now, I also want to say I haven't read the book. It's literally sitting on my bookshelf. It's been there for like 2 years. I really suck at reading new things. I just graduated from college, as I said in the last podcast, so I haven't really had time to read it. So I don't know if the representation is better or worse in the book. I definitely am going to have to check that out. I'm hoping, if anything, it's better. Even though this is very good, I'm sure that there are ways that I don't even see that the movie could improve on how it portrays fat people. And if you see those things, please leave a comment down below. I really am hoping that people interact with this podcast and I can hear other people's ideas and perspectives, because obviously I am one person. I cannot have all the perspectives, and I really want to know what you guys think. Back to some of my favorite parts. I definitely love, as I said before, the relationship between Bo and Willa Dean. And I also love the part where Willa Dean and Ellen come out for the swimsuit portion, and it says, when their swimsuits are combined, it says, everybody is a swimsuit body, which is so true. If you're wearing a swimsuit, guess what? You have a swimsuit body, because your body is literally in a swimsuit. There's no other way to have a swimsuit body. If you couldn't tell already, I definitely rate this movie as positive fat representation. It's very realistic, which I think makes it amazing. You know, she doesn't start off the most confident. She goes through this journey. I will continue to watch this movie over and over again, like I have for the past 5 years. I definitely one of those people that I will watch a movie until I cannot stand it. And I haven't gotten there yet with this one, so I will keep watching it. Thank you all so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please rate us 5 stars on whatever platform you're listening to this, on whatever platform you're listening on. Please like, follow us, subscribe. We also have an Instagram, which is at bbb.podcast, and a TikTok at bbb.thepodcast. And you can also follow me, your host, on Instagram at Karolina Howie. And I will see you all next week, same time. Until then, stay fat and fabulous. Bye!